Welcome to the Bernadette Jackson Podcast, where we are redefining how the world views women with daddy issues by discussing topics, sharing stories, and gaining insight, all from the perspective of a fatherless daughter. I'm your host, Bernadette, of BernadetteJackson.com. Today, I wanted to kick things off a little bit differently because last night I was watching the movie Jingle Jangle with my daughter, and I have some thoughts about it. I really loved the movie. I loved the diversity in the cast. I loved the costumes. I loved the town, everything about the movie and just the imagery and the magic that it portrayed. I really love that. I adore Christmas movies. So anytime I have the opportunity to watch a Christmas movie, I'm there. Bonus that it was so diverse. Oh, I loved it. But did you guys notice that H.E.R Jangle's daughter Jessica was a fatherless daughter? I thought that was a really interesting spin on the movie. Usually you see Christmas movies and it's always like, the perfect family. It's always, the mom and the pop and the two beautiful children and the perfectly decorated tree. It's always that. But I was really intrigued by the fact that they made her character a fatherless daughter. Now, she didn't start off as being a fatherless daughter in this movie. Her father was really engaged with her and their family. Her father and her mom seemed like a really loving, caring family that was always supporting each other. They looked like they were always having fun and everything. But what ended up happening, and this is a spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, click off, okay? What ended up happening was that the mom died suddenly when Jessica was maybe around, I want to say maybe 10 to 12. And the father, H.E.R Jangle, he really just lost himself after that. He completely lost himself. He was beside himself with grief, and I don't think that he knew how to get himself out of that or even realized that his daughter was still there, that she was still alive and she needed him. So little by little, he just withdrew from the world, from her, to the point where she was left to fend for herself. And eventually, he actually sent her away thinking that she would be better off living somewhere else. And before he did that, she was trying so hard to get his attention. She was always trying to, give him an encouraging word, trying to cheer him up, but he just couldn't see past his own grief. And if you guys are confused about why I'm saying that Jessica was a fatherless daughter in this movie, it's because one of the ways that you can be a fatherless daughter is if your father is physically there but emotionally unavailable. And that is what happened after H.E.R Jangle's wife died, until he actually sent her away, which at that point he became an absent father to her. And you see as the movie progresses that she grew up, but she was very closed off. And you don't see her character a lot in the movie after she moved away, because it's mostly about H.E.R Jangle and his journey back to, just believing in magic again. But the parts of the movie that you do see that she's in, you can see that she doesn't have the same joy that she had when she was younger. She's a lot more reserved. She's a lot more subdued and almost melancholy in a way, And I could tell that she likely did not have a husband, but she did have a daughter. And so that to me was really interesting because it seems as if in the movie, although they didn't say it, that she continued the cycle of having a child who also ended up being fatherless. And it really comes in when you start to think about all of the different ways your father not being there affects your choices in partners, as well as what your life ends up looking like. And I think that because her father just couldn't be there for her emotionally, and then eventually just sent her away, it seems as if she repeated that cycle in her own relationships. And also, honestly, I'm taking a lot of liberties here because none of that part of the story was even developed. But just from the snippets that I saw and the fact that there was no husband portrayed in the scenes with her and her daughter at their home, I'm just making a speculation that this is probably what happened. And this is what happens a lot of times with fatherless daughters. We don't even understand how our father's character or what we know to be familiar about our father, however little that is, impacts the types of relationships that we end up choosing for ourselves. And a lot of it is subconscious because it's just not something that we really think about. But what really got me was that you can tell how hurt and upset she was at her father when she finally came back to visit. And if you saw the movie, then there was a part in the movie where she told her daughter that she had not planned to go back and visit her father unless he sent an invitation. Okay? And I think that that is so key here because it was her daughter, Journey, who actually sent the invitation because she really wanted to get to know her grandfather because she knew that she was just like him. But can you imagine that their relationship would not have been reconciled because Jessica refused to go and visit her father because he sent her away? And to be quite frank, that is exactly what I would have done in that situation. I would have felt very much like I was not chosen, and I would have felt like I'm not going to extend myself any further to someone who clearly doesn't want me to be there. But then when you think about what H.E.R Jangle's thought process was, he didn't think that he was a good enough father for her. And because he thought that, he felt that she would be much better without him. And he did not think about the fact that all she really wanted was for him to be present with her, for him to even just be honest about his grief and share in that with his daughter. She lost her mom too, It was a really interesting dynamic to see because a lot of times as fatherless women, we don't necessarily know what our father may have been thinking about in the reason why they chose to be distant or they chose not to be there. And so just understanding from his perspective that he felt like a failure, and because he felt like a failure and didn't know how to fix it, he thought that his only recourse was for her to just be with someone else. And it caused such a rift in their relationship and in their lives that the trajectory of his life changed dramatically, as well as hers, because of the choices that she made due to what her father decided to do. And at the end of the movie, when he showed her that he thinks about her every day and that he has written her a letter every single day since she's been gone, and when he showed her the evidence of that by just opening up this Chester drawer and all of the letters falling out, you could see the hurt and the anger and all of the emotion that she's had held in all that time just melt away little by little. And when she finally was able to release all of that emotion and cry and, finally feel that her father did love her and that he just didn't know how to come back to her, it was really an amazing scene for me, because it just showed sometimes how the lack of communication in relationships can cause so many issues that we just don't even understand. How just asking for clarity or just asking for someone to be honest with you about how they feel can change the situation dramatically. So I feel like I'm rambling, and I also feel like I'm getting really passionate about this, but I really, really loved those scenes in the movie where I got to see the development of how Jessica went from being loved by her father to being a fatherless daughter to reconciling her relationship with her father at the end. And I really enjoyed the film, and I really appreciate that. Okay, well, if you've seen the movie and you didn't notice that, I would love your thoughts about this, because this could really be a conversation that we can have. So check me out in my DMs. My IG is Bernadette N. Jackson. That's BernadetteNJackson. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.